Hey there. So, in an attempt to sort of explain my opinion of what a twin soul relationship might be like, I told a little story on the radio show recently, and that story has apparently helped a lot of people, so I thought that I would post it here, but I'd add even a little more. So, I'm going to try to talk fast to keep it in my little 10-minute window here. Just please imagine that two little boys who were best friends living back in ancient times, they always had each other's back, just like little boys do, you know. They roughhouse, they have so much in common, they tell secrets, they do things they're not supposed to, and they promise each other that they'll never share the secret. They are just the best of friends. Well, by the time they get to be teenagers, that friendship has been tested multiple times. They've been educated together. They've learned to hunt and fish together. They've competed in athletics. They've maybe competed over girls from time to time. But nothing ever comes between them. These two boys know each other from the inside out. They know each other's superficial preferences. They know each other's deepest secrets. It is almost at times if one could step inside the other and become them. That's how close they are. Nothing will break their bond. So, because this is ancient times, they decided it would be really important to make their commitment to each other permanent by performing a ritual. So they create a ceremony in which they essentially become blood brothers. They cut open a portion of, maybe a part of their finger or their hand, and they literally swap blood with each other, but they take it a step further. And in their mind, they imagine that each one takes out a small piece of his heart and entrusts it to the other for safekeeping. So there's always a small piece of one's own heart that is being carried by their time and true tested very best friend for eternity. Well, this goes on for years perfectly well, and nothing does come between the boys, and they remain best friends. They continue to share secrets. Their bond is for an eternity. It's from this moment always past and always forward. But something happens and one of the boys goes a little bit sideways. There's no explanation for it. It becomes very apparent that he can no longer keep his part of the pact. So the two boys that always had each other's back, they still love each other exactly how they always have, but one just can't perform. One just has something happen, a brain injury or some bad medicine maybe. Something happens and one of the two cannot keep his half of the bargain. So the other two, the stronger of the two, says, no problem, man, I still have your back. No problem, I know you love me. I love you, no big deal. I'll carry both parts. I'll carry mine and yours. I'll carry the burden. I'll do the work for two. No problem. You take as much time as you need to figure everything out and get back on your feet. And he does this lovingly. It's his free will. He chooses it. It's not a problem for him. He loves his friend so much there's nothing else he could think to do than to carry both pieces of the heart. So this goes on until such point where the let's say the stronger, the healthier of the two actually dies. It's his time to pass, and as he dies, his grieving friend back on earth looks up to heaven and sees that his best buddy of all time, has transitioned, has lost his body, and as he does so, he presents himself in the form of the most stunningly beautiful woman. So he sits there in awe, and he feels so lucky to realize that his best buddy for all time, really in secret, unbeknownst to both of them, was the most extraordinarily beautiful woman. But the friend who has passed and has lost the confines of his physical body, and therefore all the restrictions of the brain and the intellect, he has clarity for the first time, and he realizes also that he carries a female energy, and he looks down to his beloved friend with such a tender fondness, and has clarity for the first time in all the years since they made their commitment to each other, and he realizes, the love is always going to be there. Nothing will change that. We are going to love each other closer than any other two individuals ever, from the past to the future for eternity. None of that has changed. But what he did realize, once he lost the confines of his body, was he was no longer bound to a commitment that he made to his friend other than to love him. Meaning, more clearly, any commitment that two people make to each other in human form or soul form, if one becomes unable to carry their half of the bargain, to meet their commitment, to keep their promise, as sacred as it is, if he becomes unable, the other party is not bound to continue the work. For two, you are not supposed to sacrifice yourself and your own soul's purpose for the sake of a commitment that two people made, but only one was able to fulfill. That is what it might feel like if you have encountered a twin flame. The recognition has been made, the awakening has happened or is happening, and one party is not able to fulfill their half. And that's the best parable for now that I can come up with, and I also hope it helps people who might come across this video and you've got a friend, man or woman, doesn't matter, age doesn't matter, nothing matters. If they've come across something so powerful that has changed their life and they're having a hard time understanding how they could have found the person, their best soul buddy for eternity, and had it feel just right, just like coming home for a brief period of time or a long period of time, and something happens and their mate can no longer fulfill their part of the bargain, what does that feel like? Well, it shakes your world harder, faster, deeper, more significantly than anything else, in my opinion. It's not the loss of any kind of romantic love. It's not the loss of a lover or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It's nothing like a romantic breakup. It has those elements. It sure can. And that's as brutal as we all know. We've all lived through those. This is so much more deep. This is like your best friend, the one who has your back and you have theirs. You two chose each other to make a commitment to, fully, eyes wide open. You both did. But something happened on the earth plane, and your soul buddy couldn't keep his end of the bargain. The love's still there, the bond's still there, everything is still there, except it didn't come to fruition in human form. And that isn't to say, or give false hope, that nothing can change. Things can change. Things can happen, but you cannot be bound to it. You cannot help them, you cannot fix them, you cannot change them. You shouldn't try. Just like you should never try to do that with anybody who isn't a soul connection. People, you're not here to save anybody else. You're here to fulfill your mission, your destiny, to live the best life that you can with the promises that you made to yourself. If you also came in with an additional pledge to meet with your twin flame, and that meeting has happened, and to the best of your ability you've met your commitment, and the other half has not, as sad and as tragic and painful as that is, it's nothing you can fix. What you'll need to do is learn to accept it. That can take time. It's a process. It does not happen quickly, and it certainly doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, step by step, until you reach the point where, as in the parable, you have that moment of clarity where you realize everything that really matters, everything that is truly eternal between the two of you, does still exist. You'll know this by the dreams, perhaps, by the information that comes to you in its purest form while nothing is happening on the earth. I hope that sheds a little bit of light to help you understand, give you some sense of peace maybe. Probably not comfort, because these things can be really painful and really brutal. But be assured that you're still capable, fully capable, 100%, of continuing on with the purpose that you came here to do. And you can fulfill your aspect of the twin flame promise, which we will talk about in the future, and that I will write about. Nothing has changed in that regard. You can continue on that work completely alone in the physical. Thank you, and thank you again for all the feedback, and I hope that you've found that this video is somewhat valuable and helpful to you. Talk to you soon.